Once upon a time, there was a farm, and farm was owned by old farmer. The farmer have a young son. Everybody even from closest settlement, closed village, that was actually very far away from the farm itself, do not call them by their name or name of their farm. They call them how they looks like, because old farmer was very old. His hair, his beard was white, his skin looks like very old person, and he was very old man, but still capable of working on the farm. On opposite, his oldest son, what he always take with him, was just a child. He was not a teenager yet. He was just a very young boy. But old farmer always took him with it. Every time when old farmer went to the settlement, to the village, to sell something in the store or to buy something, he always traveled with his oldest son that was still a child. He have several other children, several daughters and sons, but they was even younger than his oldest son that was still a child. And this is story about them, about old farmer and his young son. Even when the son was very young, still boy, and unable to do hard physical labor, his father, old farmer, always took him everywhere and show him how to do things, how to farm, how to plow the field, how to plant trees, how to cut trees for wood. Everything what he do, he did with his own son. Old farmer was very famous about he was very, for many people, cruel, uncommunicating man. He never smiled. He do not talk when it was necessary. And most things what his son knew from his father was only one sentence. Every time when young son asked him. The farm was surrounded by 4 big fields, each field to a different location, to west, to east, to south, to north. But every year, one of that 4 fields was empty, and old farmer do not grow crops there. And his young son, young farmer, the boy, asked his father, "Father, why we are letting one field off? Why we are not growing crops there? We could eat that crops, or we could sell it and have money instead." But old farmer always respond in one sentence, and the one sentence all the time: "You will see, you will see." When the fields end, there was a forest. Actually, it was orchard, full of nut trees. There was young, not giving nuts yet, but still there was lots of trees that there was growing from the dirt, from the ground. But the old farmer never go there, even in coldest winter. He always travel far away into the very distant forest and cut trees to have wood for fire in the far away forest. And his young son, when he was traveling with him, when he was cold and cutting tree during the winter was hard, he was asking his father, why we are traveling so far away to cut trees, to have wood into the fire to heat our home when we have trees closer to our home. But his father always respond with one sentence, and one sentence at all. You will see. You will see. And this goes on. Seasons changing, years goes after and after. The farm also have chickens. Several chickens that was laying eggs. Each chicken have 3 or 4 eggs. But when chicken have only 1 egg or do not lay egg one day, old farmer always took her and kill her immediately and cook her. And young boy thought, oh, my father is this cruel man. He was always so silent, never respond on his question, only on very big one, like why we are traveling so far away for wood. And he didn't even ask why he's killing this chicken when they are not laying eggs. Because he just thought, oh, my father is cruel old man. And under the house, under the farm itself, there was a big cellar. And cellar was full of conservated food. Many nuts, many things. What the farm, what the family could not eat was always stored there, and in right time, the old farmer always took it and traveled to the nearest village where he sell it in the store. And there was one last thing what old farmer did. Every 7 days, he traveled to the nearest river that was actually very far away from the farm, but he always traveled there, even in the coldest winter, and he cut ice and catch at least 1 fish, and took that fish back to the home and order his wife, that was actually very young. He was old farmer, but have very young wife, and he always took that fish and cook it, make a soup from it. Because everybody from area, everybody from nearest settlement, even their own family, even the young boy knew that fishes, what was in the river, was actually not very good one. They do not have much meat on their bones, so only thing what you can actually eat from the fishes from the river was cut their head and cut it open and put organs and boil organs and heads and make soup from it. Soup was disgusting. It smells badly, it was disgusting, but old farmer forced his young wife and his old children, especially the oldest son that was still a child, always forced them 7 days, usually during the Sunday, eat a fish soup. That it was disgusting. Everybody do not like it, but he always did it. He always forced them. Just once, young boy asked his father when they was fishing, asked him, "Oh father, why we are eating this fish soup when it's disgusting? There is no meat on the fish at all. When we have chickens, when we have cellar full of food." But his father respond as always, "You will see. You will see." Everybody, include the oldest son, the young farmer, thought his father was this evil, cruel man. He never smiled. He do not communicate with others. And he was teaching his oldest son as to do things, but never explain. Never do something above. He even forced his family, his very young family, because the wife was young, children was young. It always looks like the husband and father supposed to be one generation older than them. And it was always so strange for the people who visit them or people who saw them in the village. They always mock them behind their backs. Always say, oh, this old evil farmer. He never smiles, he's cruel and angry, and he have this young, beautiful wife and children, and the oldest son fathered that as well, that his father was cruel. Especially when his father always ordered his wife to prepare just enough food that his children and wife do not have hunger, but they did not have too much food. They always eat everything what they have on the plate. There was never something above in the plate. And every time if they find some nut, instead to eat them or make some kind of cake or pie with nuts, old farmer took his oldest son, the young boy, and went to the orchard full of young trees and buried nut there, in hope that one day orchard will be full of nut trees. And times go. Old farmer became so old that he became ill and unable to move and was just lying in the bed. Almost as it was precisely in the same time when his oldest son became almost adult. He became more grown up, more strong, and he was now capable to do work instead of his father. And the old farmer was lying in the bed, and last time his oldest son, now teenage boy, who was plowing the field, cutting trees, catching the fish, take care about the family, take care about the business, selling the goods what they have, or buying tools to farm. He went to his father's dying bed and asked him one last time, "Father, you was a cruel, uncommunicated man my entire short life. Can you just explain me something? Can you tell me why we are eating every 7 days this disgusting fish soup? Why we was always going to cut trees in distant forest instead of trees around our farm? Why we was laying one field empty when we can grow crops there and sell that crops and have more money?" But his father, old farmer, look upon him and have one last stare and says one last thing: "You will see." And then he died. And years go, seasons change, everybody was happy. The oldest son became the farmer itself, and his youngest brothers and sister became grown up as well. All his brothers was starting to help him on the farm. They was producing more crops. They was start to gather nuts from orchard full of trees, and there was tons and tons of nuts where they can store in this big cellar under their house, their home, their farm, or they could sell it in the nearest village. And nuts was very expensive, because nuts can hold even in coldest winter. Its food would withstand even for years. So everybody was buying that. And the farm and the family was prosperous. They have money, they have crops, but the oldest son, the young boy, now the farmer itself, he always do things as his father, old farmer, taught him in the past. Even when he do not agree why he's supposed to do things like that, why he's supposed to kill every chicken when the chicken is not laying enough eggs or do not have eggs at all, even when he do not agree with things like his father was doing, he did it the same way as his father. Maybe from tradition, maybe because he do not know other way. So he was still doing, and farm prosperous, and as the times go, all his brothers and sisters, he have lots of siblings. It was literally more than 10 siblings that grow up. His brothers actually after some years went away, go to travel to the world. His sister get married and travel away, move from the farm as well. So he stayed on the farm only with his mother. But he was not alone itself, because he also find a girl or woman in the village would he fall in love and married her and start the family of his own. But he was still caring about his mother. Now his mother became as old as his father was many decades before, and she get ill and start to lying, have last breaths on her bed, and the son, now farmer, came to her bed and talked with her, and they was speaking, they was laughing, and his mother told him, "I'm so glad that you are different than your father. You are always smiling, you are so communicative person, you always talk. I don't want to remember your old and cruel, ugly father. Do you even know that I despised him?" And he says, "Yeah, I despised my father as well. He was cruel, uncommunicated man." And his mother responded, "Yes, I despised him from very beginning. I despised him entire time would I know him. Do you know that I was very young when he married me? I was still a child. He took me away from my home, and I was actually not his first wife. He married my sister. My older sister lived with him and died decades before you was born, decades before he married me. Can you imagine what kind of evil person he was when he just cynically married a sister of his own dead wife, and he married me when I was still a child, and I started giving birth to you, my son, and to your siblings in my very early age." And they both, his mother and the oldest son, the farmer, agree how evil and bad and cruel his father was. And then, after several days, his mother died. He buried her, and the times go. Now he was the old farmer. Not old by his age, but just by the fact that he was oldest man, the owner on the farm, and he had family. He was known that he was very communicative, he was always nice, always smiling, and he also have children of his own. But he do not have so many children as he have siblings. He have just few children. He always said, "Oh, we do not need so many children. We are rich." They was rich. They was the richest farm family around. And he have the son as well. His son actually was the youngest from his children. He had several daughters that was older than his son, but only one son, and son was very young. And now old father that used to be a young son start to teach his son that was also very smiling, very happy boy, and he start to teach him the things around the farm. He start to teach him how to plow and take care about the fields, how to create crops, how to take care about the chickens, and how to get wood, how to cut trees and get wood for fire. And he even, from time to time, not as often as during his childhood, but from time to time, he also took his son to the river, catch a fish, and make this disgusting fish food. And there was difference because new farmer wife and their daughters refuse eat that disgusting soup. They said, "Oh, this is disgusting. You did catch the fish, you make the soup, and you will eat it." And the farmer did eat the fish soup, this disgusting, very bad smelling soup. But he, at least several times, forced his son to eat it. Not the daughters, not the wife, they refused it. The fish soup was disgusting, bad smelling, not good for anything. But he at least forced his son to eat this disgusting soup with him. And his son was asking, "Daddy, why we are eating this disgusting soup from the fish that do not have any meat on the bones, and we are literally eating just boiled head and organs from the fish? Why we are doing that?" And his father responded, "We are doing that because my father forced me, did it, when I was in your age, son." And his son thought, this is so stupid, because his father forced him to do it. Now I must do it as well. This is stupid. Even my older sisters and my mother is not eating that. So the fish soup is for nothing. And the times go. Old farmer now became really old even by his age, and his son start to replace him, start doing work on the farm instead of him. His older, the boy, the sons, siblings, the sisters became grown up as well, and they get married and move away from the farm. And through the time, the son of the farmer start to replace the farm itself. And the farmer have died in very young age not very young age, but he actually died very soon. Instead of getting very old as his father, he just died. Like, he didn't have a will to live on. He knew that his son is strong. He knew that he left a money, a cellar full of stored food, orchard full of nut trees that they are giving every year tons and tons of nuts that could be eaten, stored long term, or sell in the village for good money. He knew that all the fields are giving the crops, and the season was very good. Crops was growing, the chicken was laying eggs, and everything was well. And he died very soon, maybe with knowledge that he is letting very good working farm to his son. And his son was smiling, good person, but he was not hard working person as his father, and definitely not as his grandfather, what he did not know. He was kind of lazy. He did not work all the days as everybody on the farm should. He was actually every 7 days, instead of getting to the river and catching fish, he took his money, travel several hours to the very close village, and have a fun buying booze, alcohol, have a fun with the girls there, having fun, and do not take care about the farm at all. And sisters was gone, mother get old and get sick and die as well, and he was now alone. But he was not alone for a very long time. Even him find love or likeness in one woman in the city, and he took her and married her because she liked him back. Many of them actually says that, but she is kind of older than you. Why you want to marry her? But I like her. I like her how she looks. I like her personality. So I want to marry her. So he married a new wife, took her, and they moved to his farm. And seasons change, years move forward, everybody gets older. The wife have children as well. So the oldest, now the son of a young farmer have its own family, his own children. He has several daughters, but only 2 of 3, not too many of them. And he didn't have son, but he always says his wife was actually very nervous about that. He was worried. I didn't give you a son. But the farmer always respond, oh, that doesn't matter. I don't need a son. I am glad. I like our daughters. I like them. I love them very much as I love you. I don't need sons. Don't worry, honey. And the seasons change, but something start to change. The cellar, what used to be so full of store food, what he remember when he was young, now became more emptier and emptier. And the crops on the field do not grow as much as he remember when he was young boy, because he was different from his father that was taught by his father. He was doing things his own way, so he now grow crops on all the fields. He do not let one every 4th field to lay down. Do not grow crops there. He always grow crops on all fields. 1 year, 2nd year, 3rd year, year after year. And after some time, after several years, the crops from the field became weak, became unstable. Do not have them too much. And he also did another things. He was not traveling very far away to distant forest to cut tree there. No, he was cutting tree nearby. He was even so lazy that when there was winter, he went to the orchard full of nut trees that during the summer is giving him nuts, and he cut trees there and put wood from the trees into the fire. So after several years, there was no orchard full of nut trees anymore, and they was not eating fish food anymore. His family actually do not know. But when he was young, and when his father ruled the farm, that was a good years of prosper. Summers was long, weather was hot, winters was not so cold and was very short. But after almost generation, the situation changed. Now summers became shorter and shorter. Winter became longer and longer, tougher and tougher. Temperature was going down and down, and each winter was basically worse than the previous year one. And The farmer now start discover that there is not enough crops on the field to feed his family. He do not have the food anymore. He do not have money. Cellar was empty. He do not have money anymore. And even chickens was not laying eggs. He was lucky when one chicken lay one egg at least once a week. And he was wondering why the chickens was not laying eggs like when I was young boy. Is it some kind of curse that my chickens is not giving me so many eggs as they give to my father? This is weird. And he was so angry because he cut all the trees in orchard because now he was forced to travel far away to cut wood for the fire. And during the short summer, there was no walnut trees anymore that would giving him nuts, and he could not sell them. So his family, entire farm, became poorer and poorer, and every winter that it was long, cold, and tough, they struggled very much. They was constantly hungry. There was not any crops on the fields anymore. There was no nuts anymore. Cellar was empty. They do not have money to buy anything in nearest village. They were suffering. They do not have even wood for the fire. The wood was very limited because the farmer was forced to travel very far away to cut the wood for the fire. And after several bad years, several bad winters, come another winter that was worse than anything that anybody who could remember. Oldest persons from the village says that they heard legend about winter like that, but nobody alive remember winter like that. And the winter was really tough. It was very cold and it was very long. Crops before that do not grow. Fields was basically empty. There was no money, no food. And the family was struggling. One daughter already died from illness from the cold, and there was only 2 daughters left. And the wife and daughters and farmers was so struggling. They were so hungry. They do not have anything to eat anymore. And the winter was not stopping. And it was continuing over and over again. They was praying, oh please God, stop this winter. Bring spring to us. At least we could find something to eat. Otherwise, our family will die. And in that time, when his wife was praying, the farmer remembered something. He remembered as when he was a very young boy, his father forced him to eat disgusting fish soup. So he remembered that. Oh, there is river. It's far away, but I can go there. I can catch a fish. And even when on the fish, on the bones, there is no meat, we can boil the heads and organs from the fish. I will show you how, and we can eat it and survive on that. But the wife refused. No, fish soup, that's disgusting. Are you crazy? Everybody know that the fishes in the river in our area are disgusting and not good for eating at all. But the farmer, after several days when they were struggling with hunger, he refused that. He says, no, I must at least try that. So he took clothes and went to the river, cut ice in the river and catch few fishes. He was actually very lucky because he catch several fishes. It was small fish with no meat on the bones, as everybody told him, as he remembered when he was just a child. But he took them and traveled back to home, where he discovered that another daughter died. There was only one last daughter and his wife remaining in this cold, hungry farm. So, and he says, okay, we will boil this fish and make soup from it. But his wife refused it. Let me to mourn for our daughter, and do not bother me about this nonsense. This is not food. We are not animals. We will not eat that. And I even do not know how to prepare it. So the farmer took the fish himself, cut the head, cut it open, and put organs in the water with the heads and boil it. And he says, last time he put this boil of soup on the table full of this disgusting, bad-smelling fish organs and heads. And he said, this is a fish food. It's food. We can eat it. Please come, my daughter and my wife. We can eat it. And the wife refused it. No, I will not eat it. I'm not animal. At least I will die with dignity. But his daughter at least tried that. She went to the table next to his father, put spoon inside the soup. That was disgusting. She always vomited, but she put it inside the mouth and tried to swallow it. But the taste and smell of the fish food was for her so disgusting that she immediately vomited. And she said, no, father, I cannot eat it. It's so disgusting. But the farmer, did eat it. Why? Because he was used to it from his childhood. Even when he smelled the bad taste of the fish soup, because he was used to it, for him it was not so disgusting. And the winter continues for several weeks. And when the first sign of spring appeared, when the snow starts to disappear, there was no more farmer's family. The wife and last daughter died from hunger, from cold, and from illness. And when the farmer was digging graves for his family, for his wife and 3 daughters to the ground, he lay down on the ground and started to cry, why? And suddenly he realized something. He realized all the stories what his father was talking about, his old and cruel father. And he now realized that his grandfather was actually the same as he is now. He did bad things, as forcing his family to eat disgusting fish soup for a reason. He went for the wood in distant forest for fire for the reason. He lay down one field without crops for a reason. And he suddenly realized, in the moment of sorrow, he realized that his grandfather was always right. And when he says, you will see, it was not a message for his son, but for his grandson, because his son actually saw what he meant. The crops, the fields, after a few years get stronger again, so the farmer begin farming on the fields again, and crops grow again, but he always keep 4th field empty for 1 year, as his grandfather did. He always traveled for the wood far away and cut trees in the distant forest, never the closest one, because he knew that someday, some year, the winter so strong, so long can come that he will be needed to have trees around his farm. And he actually discovered in his empty food store cellar that there was one last nut. And instead of eating it, he planted it in the place where used to be orchard full of nut tree. And every time when he discovered another empty nut, another alone nut, he always buried it, planted again. And after a few years, he became successful again. Crops grow, he have enough to eat it, and he have actually above enough for him, and he have crops that he could buy it again. He could sell it again, and for the money he bought a new chickens, because all the chickens was already dead, was already cooked during the hard winters, and he bought a new one. But this time, when the chicken stopped laying eggs, he immediately killed her, and he forced his own flock of chicken to give him as much as eggs as they could. He was very cruel if the chicken was not laying eggs anymore, and that's how he actually forced his flock be very prosperous. And after several years, his farm became prosperous again. In the place where used to be orchard, now start to spread and grow young trees, not giving nuts yet, but there was a hope that one day there will be orchard full of trees that will giving nuts, tons of nuts again. Fields, crops on the field was growing, and he became prosperous farm again. And his cellar became full of stored food again. But even when he have now enough food to eat whatever he wants, he forced himself at least every 7 days to eat that disgusting, bad-smelling fish soup. Not because he needed, but he was punishing himself. Every time when he swallowed a spoon of fish soup, that it was disgusting even for him, he was saying to himself, if I forced my family to eat it, if I forced my daughters to eat it, they would be used to it, and they could survive on it during the harsh winters. And he farmed, he prospered, and he was torturing himself by this disgusting fish soup. But after several years, he even understand that years was tough on him, and he became older and older. And he knew when he started to realize that he's not strong as he was when he was a young man, he realized even over his grief that he need a wife, that he need children, especially a son who can overtake it. So he took this little of money what he have now, and he traveled to the closest village. He went to the store because storekeeper was also matchmaker in the village, and he sells something, buys something, and then he says, "You're also matchmaker, and I need a new wife. Do you know about a woman around that I can marry?" But the matchkeeper and keeper of the store itself says him, "Oh, this is bad thing. The cold winters was harsh on everybody, and everybody is very poor, and nobody have daughters anymore. or at least not the ones that are not married. The winters was hard of everybody. What these two do not know was that the winters and situation with the farms was basically everywhere the same. Young farmers do not know how to care about the farms itself. They became lazy, they became stupid, as the young farmer itself was. And some of them do not survive at all, and those who survive in very harsh conditions. And the matchmaker says, "Oh right, there is only one unmarried woman in entire area, and you can marry her because her parents are so poor that they survive this cold winter just enough food, and they cannot survive another winter with her anymore. And they are thinking that they will actually sell her away, send her somewhere, even when it's their own daughter, but they do not have food anymore. It's actually the youngest sister of your own previous wife. But I must warn you, this is not a woman, it's still a child. It's almost not a woman at all. She became a woman just a year ago, and she do not look like woman." But the farmer says anyway, "Oh Ray, okay, talk to her parents, I will marry her." And the parents, even when they do not like it, they allow it. So the farmer took and married his new wife, this very young girl that was almost not a woman at all, and he married her. And she saw just this weird old man with white hair and white beard that is taking her away from her parents to some distant farm, and she despised him, and he was not communicating anymore. He was not so smiling and happy a communicated person as he was when he was young, because death of his family and grief broke him in his heart. He was not communicating at all. He was not smiling at once. And she despised him. She didn't want some old man to marry her, but her parents forced her. Everybody, even from the village, look upon this marriage terrible and says, "Oh, this old cruel farmer is marrying this young girl. Is he cruel? Is he evil?" And they travel back to the farm. They start to live together. And after just 1 year, she was start to giving birth of the children. And she had one child, the daughter. And in just not even a year, she have another child, another daughter, and another. And when she finally have the fourth child, that was son, the farmer get to her bed, take his son into arms, and it was the only once or first time what his very young wife start to scream and angry, empty or let open all her anger on him and tell him, "You are evil man, you are evil, oh disgusting man, you married me, you take my life when I was very young, you are now forcing me to giving birth a child after child, and you like only sons, you have daughters, why you do not like her, why you do not like our daughter the same way as you now like his son, and why you are doing these evil things, please explain to me." And the farmer, now old farmer, look upon her with his old face, white hair, white beard, holding his son in his hands, and he respond in only one sentence, you will see. And this is the story of old farmer and his young son, about how tough years, tough world, creating tough men, tough farmers, that bringing a good years and good word, that is creating soft man, that is bringing a bad word again. And this is their story.